Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Straw Hat Crusaders, the only podcast that watches two whole dang shows at the same time. And on this week's episode, Lightning Bolt?
He died for real, for our sins.
Mojo Jojo?
Monkey... The D in Monkey D. Luffy stands for Dio.
Oh my god.
That's what I meant to
oh
say.
my god. I'm gonna shoot you with a gun.
And this is Straw Hat Crusaders.
All right, bye, guys.
Good night.
We know everyone
Good
left.
night. We love you.
I
Everyone
just
got
called
off.
the cops and they just got here.
They got here. Yeah, they're taking over as hosts. For
What
tonight.
was that?
I don't know what you're talking about. That got cut out, right, Clayton?
Maybe. That was a Hayden moment, I think.
Classic Hayden moment.
Who are you?
I am Hayden Hartrick, and I'm sitting at a table. And to my left is
Adriana Hartrick.
Oh my god.
Wait, I'm
Congrats.
your long-lost
Congrats.
sibling, yeah.
no, I can only have one. I'm only allowed to have one sibling.
Uh-oh.
I think that's because you don't do your last name. You should just steal somebody else's every show.
Yeah, I
and then
should.
that person doesn't get to
I
use
should,
theirs.
whoever's my favorite character at any point, I'll
Yeah,
just steal their last name.
Isn't
And
it crazy to think that Luffy's last name is Luffy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's not really how it works, though. But
Yeah. Wait, but that's what you said. Did you lie to me?
no, yeah. I mean, his last name
Yeah.
is Luffy.
Yeah.
And
But
what's
his,
your last
his
name?
family name is
Monkey.
Monkey. I'm Clayton Chow.
Oh.
Josh. That's me.
Okay.
And this is a show where we've been watching JoJo. One of us has been watching JoJo. The other three of us have been reading One Piece, but four of us have been reading One Piece. Four of us.
I've been
including
watching
the one
JoJo
watching
in my
JoJo.
mind.
I've been thinking about JoJo sometimes.
He's been rotating JoJo's Bizarre Adventures.
He goes to his mind palace every week.
We will soon be watching. More of us will be watching the episodes as we get further in.
As soon as I finish Baldur's Gate 3,
Yeah.
I will actually commit
Yeah.
my time to watching episodes of a show.
Me and Adriana, I think, have Stardust Crusaders imprinted behind our
I've
eyelids.
seen it so many times.
But I will be catching some episodes, hopefully with Clayton
Yeah.
and Hayden at some
Yeah.
point.
I try to watch them whenever Clayton's watching
Right.
them.
And I think as we get further in, Hayden, you have not seen Part 6's anime.
I've not seen the anime for Part 6. That is correct. I have read the manga. though.
Are you going to want to watch it?
Oh
in full?
yeah, 100%.
Fuck yeah.
I will be doing that because I've been meaning to for a while.
And I think the plan is for me and Adriana to follow. Well, at least maybe at our own pace, maybe not, to follow along. I think I will be following along with Stone Ocean because I think I've only seen it one complete time in chronological order.
And half of it, we started watching it I think a month ago.
We got like 6 or
Yeah.
7 episodes in, but then life got in the way. Anyway, sorry, Hayden, you were talking.
I was, and then you were, and now it's.
That's
now
how
we're
it
all
works.
saying- all
Adriana, it's
saying
your turn.
words.
What? Hello.
This week we Clayton here, our JoJo watcher, the one that
Yeah.
has been contracted by God to watch JoJo,
Mm-hmm.
started part 3.
Stardust
Stardust Crusaders.
I think it's very fun and very cool that in this week's episode, we both, in each respective series, got right to the beginning of a very long journey.
Amazing.
It worked out. It's
One of them's going to be over a lot quicker than the other, but very thematically similar.
True.
I don't know. Part 3 goes on. Wait, which one is going to be over soon?
Oh.
Are you saying?
I mean, One Piece is about traveling the Grand Line, so that's like
They
we're
never come
starting
back.
that journey.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Monkey D. Luffy dies.
Monkey D. Luffy. No.
he does die. I'm always like, is this the last chapter of One Piece? Every time I
And
get to
that
the end
joke
of it,
is
it's
funny every single time.
I laugh. I laugh. You laugh. You say that like you don't laugh.
I laugh to have a good time. And I do.
To cope.
I love to go.
I choose to
Guys,
laugh.
Every time you hear me laugh, it's actually I'm coping with my demons.
Copium.
Clayton, so let's start. We'll talk about One Piece a little bit later today. But Clayton, you started Stardust Crusaders, a very important part in JoJo because it's the introduction of a little thing everybody knows and loves called stands.
Oh
Yeah.
Stands.
Actually, before you get into it, if you don't mind
Yeah.
me saying,
Huh.
I think most of us here are well aware that Part 3 is a big deal, not just because of those developments, but because this is the part that put JoJo on the map. This is the part that made it famous in Japan, and it was the first part to get any sort of anime adaptation.
It started with an OVA, right?
Yeah, right when it ended in '92, they already were like they were already almost done with an OVA adaptation of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. We'll probably watch that at some point because
Yes.
I've never seen it.
We probably will.
I've never seen. I've just seen a billion clips
Yes.
of it edited together.
It's-
Yeah.
Actually looks really cool, although it's very divisive, people's opinions on it.
Okay.
So just to start off our little talk, what do you think about stands?
Getting into it. I truly, for a while, I love One Piece a lot. Obviously,
What?
I've been very excited and very happy that y'all are all loving One Piece. And there have been moments where there have been fears in the back of my mind where I was like, what if I bring my friends onto this show and we're sharing these things that we love so tenderly and so dearly, and they enjoy One Piece and accept it into their hearts, and I am not able to do the same for JoJo's.
Mm-hmm.
And as the series has progressed, the fear, I have kind of been like, oh, fuck. And I've seen like y'all liking One Piece, and I've been like, okay, this is good. And I've been kind of preparing myself to be like nice in a way. I will say the beginning of these 3 episodes, these 3 at the beginning, there's been a lot of JoJo stuff that I have liked. This is at least like 5 times better than anything that has come before. Like, it knocks everything in the first 2 parts out of the water, and this is just like the setup.
Yeah.
It's delivering in ways that I didn't remember it delivering because I have seen this part before, or the first little bits of it, like this part before. But it's succeeding in ways that I did not remember it doing, and kind of didn't necessarily think it ever would. Like, genuinely great character writing with Jotaro.
Yeah.
He's a really compelling character. There's a lot to talk about with this, but I'm loving it. Ba-da-bum-ba-ba.
Amazing. Just so you know, like, we have been on the same page this whole time about like your journey. You know what I mean? Like, we were not like, we could tell that it was like we were definitely more into One Piece at this moment in time than you were into, but that's like just how it goes. You know what I mean? Very, like no pressure for sure, because we knew this would happen.
Hell yeah. I'm glad to be here. The real moment, because the first episode I was like, this is good. This is a lot better. And I could tell when a flip had kind of, a switch had kind of flipped. It was in the second episode, and it was like Jojo first. He like uses his stand and he starts pulling Kakyoin's Hierophant Green out of the nurse's mouth.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then in that moment, you hear the
Yes!
and I think that's the first time you hear it in the first couple episodes there.
It's so good.
And I was like, oh shit. It's just so fun. Everything with the stands is very interesting.
First new impression of stands.
Yeah, I think I had a memory of early stands being a little bit boring, and I think I especially remember not liking Star Platinum. I think something that happened with me is when I was watching through the first couple parts, I was so like angry at them because they weren't the good parts. And then I got to part 3 and I was like, all right, this is supposedly the good part. Let's see it. I was expecting a very certain thing. I was expecting like all the good stuff that I had ever heard about JoJo. Mm-hmm. And then when Star Platinum was like a guy who could do things really good, I was like, fucking tuning out, man. I really like Star Platinum this go around. The moment where JoJo grabs the photo from Joseph and has Star Platinum zoom in like NCS Miami and then picture perfect sketch a fly that was in the background so Avdol could get it. That was fucking great. That was so fun.
Yeah. Star Platinum. Should I say it now?
What?
About where Star Platinum is for me? Like what
if you want.
Like in your rankings?
In my ranking of
Josh
stands?
Really likes
sure.
He's my favorite stand.
Yeah.
Favorite stand?
Star Platinum is my favorite stand. And that is not to say that everything you're going to see post what you've seen now is worse. Because this is just the beginning of Star Platinum.
Also, this is just personally.
Yeah,
I know Josh to have a connection.
Star Platinum is not everyone's favorite, but Star Platinum is normally up there for people. I think
it's a good stand. I can't thinking about every other main JoJo's stand in every other part. All of them are so much more interesting than Star Platinum ever was for me.
Well, you know, it's funny though because Josh asked me what my favorite stand was, and I had that same thought. I was like, "There's a billion that are so interesting," but like, it's funny because I feel like the first thing that came to my mind was Hierophant Green, which is like, it's like one of the first ones introduced or whatever. But just like, what a guy!
Green is also a great
awesome,
stand.
amazing. Yes. I could talk, forever.
I forgot it went inside a lady.
It went. It has seemingly up her ass. With the first thing we see is it like slithering up her skirt.
Yeah.
So what do you? So that actually calls into question a very interesting thing about stands, which is the rules of stands. Now it's important to remember there's a lot of rules that are set up in these first 3 episodes about stands. So the most important rule about stands, the unspoken rule, is that all the rules do apply, except when they don't. All of the ruls will be broken.
I think we should just wait for him to like try to call something out.
I just think it was important for me to hear that when I first started watching. I don't know. For some people, they can go with the flow. I don't know how that's going to be for you, but Star Platinum is also, it's more for sentimental reasons more than just like, although he is utilized, I think, amazingly well. I doubt that Star Platinum will be like, just statistically, probability speaking, he probably won't be your favorite stand.
Probably not.
But yeah, I'm glad you like it so far. What else really popped out for you?
So I really like the presentation. This is kind of superficial, but just the animation quality is much better. It takes a huge leap.
It is. Yeah.
There's some really nice implementation of 3D animation in some like kind of downtime scenes. Like the camera will have like a swivel that looks pretty good. The intro. I love the visuals. I think they're probably my favorite visuals. The music is not doing it for me thus far. Perhaps it will grow on me.
It had to grow on me.
It had to grow on me too.
And now it's one of my favorite intros. But the visuals are very much a part of why that is,
It had to grow on me too. I coming off of Bloody Stream and the first one, Sonoshino Sadame, I was expecting the world from this. No pun intended. I was expecting so much from this. And it let me down initially because I didn't like it more than the first 2. But yeah, I love it. Sorry, this is about me now. How I feel about part 3. But yeah, you mentioned in a text, you said the music is going off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was mostly referring to, there were several moments in the like actual anime as opposed to the intro. I also big fan of I don't know if it's constant because like I said, it only happens in the 3rd episode. But Walk Like an Egyptian as the outro.
Yes, that is the outro.
Inspired.
So good, right?
Beautiful.
So good.
And the visuals are really nice. I
It's really
never
creative.
get tired of them. Yeah.
I mean, all of it's creative.
You see the tarot cards.
Yeah.
Like flying around them.
It's got like a vibe. This, like Josh was right to say it. This part, like, it really runs on vibes. Like, not relies on it completely, but sometimes, yeah. But
sometimes it kind of does.
Yeah.
But it's just the vibes are great. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then especially like the what I assume is Jotaro's theme, the little like kind of bouncy one.
Yeah.
That is so good. It's truly wonderful.
You're gonna hear that a lot. You're gonna hear that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And you're gonna hear a lot of iconic themes. I'm sure you've heard of Giorno's theme, right?
I've heard it referenced, and I've surely heard it. I can't. Oh, it was a big meme.
It was a
right?
huge meme.
Yeah.
Kind of do it a little bit. Go ahead, Josh. Take the wheel.
It's the piano. It goes.
Yeah. But do it.
Yeah, come on, do
Wait,
it.
it's like, I'm trying to. I'm blanking. It's like
Let's do it.
call an ambulance, call an ambulance, but not for me. So that is this composer. So part one had one composer, part 2 had another composer, and then the 100 episodes following have just this composer who is.
And I'm pleased about it.
He is amazing. Yugo Kanno
really good.
is amazing.
He do be composing.
He do be composing his ass off, and you're gonna hear it.
Lost his
And you're gonna sit your white ass down, and you're gonna fucking listen.
I am.
You said that the character writing was really good for Jojo.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
what made you say that?
So I remember his like deal. I think I said it on a previous podcast. His deal being he's a strong, tough guy who actually cares about people sometimes.
Yeah.
The way in which that is communicated is very effective and makes him very compelling. And that also extends not just to Jotaro, but to a lot of the cast that we get. Specifically, Joseph is also really fun to watch in this one.
You have no idea.
You ain't seen shit yet.
I'm excited. But I remember the moment in which they find what's her face, Mrs.
Holly?
Yes, Holly is on the
Cujo.
ground,
Yeah.
and Joseph like slams Jotaro against the wall, and he's like pressing his head into his, and he's like freaking out, and then Jojo like grabs his arm and squeezes it, and is like, "Just tell me what we can do." And it's like, these fucking guys, they hate each other, but perhaps some sort of struggle on this journey will bring them closer as a family.
Also, it was another Jotaro characterization moment that everyone loves to talk about because it's so funny is he's like, "Mom, stop. I don't want a goodbye kiss." And then the next day he's like, "Where's my goodbye kiss?"
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
As well as when he turns around and is like, "Hey, you're looking a little pale. Are you okay?" It's just like he's a sweetie, and I really enjoy as well with that tough exterior and his strength being on the inside. The imagery and design of him standing, and this is kind of a thing with just stands in general, but Jotaro holding his like calm, collected composure while Star Platinum is like losing it behind is so good. It's amazing. So fucking
Literally,
cool.
it's amazing. Okay.
It is amazing.
So good. And that is that's just like a hint of why stands are so good is because it's like the whole like, it's your soul and it's the representation, of your life force or whatever. And it's like,
you see there.
yeah, it's pretty cheesy in a way, but at the same time, it provides so much like good, fun content like that to think about it that way.
It's so fun to have that discussion of like looking at stands and being like, okay, how does the character inform the stand?
Yes.
And how does the stand inform the character?
And once we get to part 5, it's gonna be
It's
so
gonna go crazy.
good.
Holy
It's gonna
shit.
go crazy.
But that's-
It's you're in the drop of the bucket. Like all these ideas you're having, it's gonna be
Part 4 is gonna have
Yeah.
really good.
all these things that you're catching on to now. They're gonna be, you're gonna catch them throughout part 3, but it's just the beginning of how the maestro explores these ideas.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're seeing the nuance of it though, because he's blunt but not purposefully cold. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's really interesting for a character to be that way.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Also, character design wise, I think part 3 takes it a step up because it's just it just has the group looks really good together. Their silhouettes look good. Their colors look good. Their outfits just feel so them, and they don't change their outfits a lot because I think Araki really decided he's like, I think I'm gonna really just commit to something for once,
which is so nice.
Yes, because Joseph and Jonathan, they have a lot of different crop tops and a lot of different shit going on. Which
not a single crop top in part 3. Am I remembering that right?
I'm thinking there's one
of the main cast.
Okay, there is one outfit change that Clayton, I think you're gonna really love. It's gonna be in the next batch of episodes you watch. But
right, okay.
Yeah, on a boat.
Yeah,
but
not a crop top.
Oh,
not a crop top.
The monkey puts on a suit.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's never what I'm talking about. But yes, there is a lot of just the art, dude. You might really want to look at the manga for this because if Star Platinum seems expressive to you in the anime, the way he is in the manga is a lot of people feel like they muted him a bit for the anime.
All the stands I feel like are like the detail that is in the manga, and also the colored versions are just really just so good. They look like ethereal in the manga,
they're
like truly
bioluminescent.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Which they don't finally do until part 6. That's when the stands start. You see that luminescence, that glow that the stands have is in part 6. Which people don't talk about enough.
I've never seen the manga designs for stands.
Oof.
Or I guess I have in part 5, but I don't remember it being too different from.
I think part 3 just has like. I think the style lends itself to like more detail with that kind of thing. Like Hierophant Green in the manga is like gorgeous. It's like,
incredible.
Yeah.
But in talking about stands and the way they inform the characters, made me think this part has a very unique thing compared to the future of JoJo, where it's a unique naming convention for all of the stands. Are you aware of what the naming convention is like going forward, like in future parts?
They also, I think, kind of called it out a little bit at the last bit that I saw.
Yeah, I'm talking about like in
future parts
when they get past tarot cards.
Yeah, it's albums or music stuff.
Well, there is one naming convention between the tarot and the music references.
Yeah.
In the last half of part 3, but you will get to that.
Yeah.
We will get there.
But you get the tarot cards, which I think adds an extra element.
Yes.
Of, like in this part specifically, you can look at the tarot cards, and all of us are vaguely familiar with tarot in some degree, and looking at how those inform the stands and the characters and like the way those characters are written, especially in like the main cast, I think is a really interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
Is Dio gonna have the tower? Oh, I already know what Dio has, I guess.
Do you know? Do you know?
I think so, right? I know what it's called.
What's it?
What's it called?
His stand is, as you were giggling about before, the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
The end
when I watched
of the tarot cards, the final of the major arcana. They're only named after the major arcana.
Yeah.
I think it's important. Wait, sorry, go.
I was thinking about the joke. I was just having a stand be like, "This is 3 of swords."
I was literally gonna say our next enemy, like 5 of pentacles.
Which might have been sick. Probably would have been terrible.
Part 3 would have gone on like 5 times longer.
Yeah, but I think it's fun too because Araki plays around with that a lot in very subtext ways. It's never like brought to the forefront, but like for instance, so the very first of the major arcana is the Fool, which we haven't met the Fool yet. But that's 0. That's card 0. And the Fool's supposed to be the protagonist of the major arcana story, right? But the first card that the Fool meets is the Magician, which is the first stand that Jojo meets in Avdol. I wanted to kind of get your... I kind of wanted to run through kind of the first characters we met and kind of get your first impression. I think starting with Avdol, now that you've kind of talked about the other 2.
Yeah, Avdol, I enjoy so far. I think so far the kind of 2 henchmany ones in Avdol and Kakyoin are a little bit lackluster to me. I'm sure they will grow on me as I see more of them. I think part of the reason that I feel that way right now is just because I don't know a whole lot about them.
Yeah.
And I really do enjoy a character that's like extremely loyal. There was a moment when he was having his little tussle with Jotaro, that Jojo grabs a steel bar and is like getting ready to kill him. And as soon as he steps out of the cell, Avdol drops his stand and turns around.
I love that.
I was like, and then he's like, all right, there you go, Joseph. I got him out of his cell. And I was so excited about that because I was like, oh, he was ready to die. But then Avdol turns around and he's like, I actually could have melted this. I could have melted it so fast that you couldn't have done anything to me.
I do love that.
Yeah.
And he was right. He has a chicken stand. It's awesome.
Yes.
People don't talk about it.
Magician's Red, of the ones we've seen so far, a little boring to me. Because it's fire and it's hot, and I get it's like cool and stuff. And I'm sure they'll do plenty of fun stuff with it. But
imagine like having a power system where it's like, I have a ghost with superpowers, and then one of them doesn't have fire. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
you got it. And
right,
I totally get why he's
Absolutely.
here.
yeah.
You're going to see a lot of like really basic abilities that are Jojo-fied in part 3. And then after that, you're not going to... After part 3, don't get ready to understand... Don't
get ready to understand.
Yeah,
Don't even think.
even think you're gonna know what's going on.
Hayden's looking off into the distance, and I am also trying to think about if there's any basic stands.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a lightning stand. There's not a lightning stand, is there?
Yeah.
Stand?
In when? In what?
Part 4.
No.
Spoiler.
Okay.
Well, not like they're never done the way that you would imagine.
That's true.
Like they never just have like this one just shoots fireballs and then he has fireballs. It's never like that.
When I was first watching this, I think maybe when I was around at the part that you are now, and Josh was fully caught up, we would play this little game, especially on long drives, where I would just like ask him like, is there one that does this? And is there one that does this? And I would just like try to think of as many like powers that could be stands that sounded like what I've already heard before. And Josh would tell me if it existed or not. And it was really fun.
That was the funnest thing ever.
Yeah.
Is there one that turns you into a crayon?
Into a crane?
Into a crayon?
A
Crayon?
Crayon?
No,
Is there one that throws a
there
steamroller
is
at
one
you?
that is like a big. There is one that like is a crayon, and you can use it to draw. It's like a purple stand, and you can use it to draw things into reality.
You're making bullshit up, buddy.
No, they wrote a book
inspired by
about
a real
it.
stand though.
They wrote a book about it.
Yes. Oh my god.
Wait.
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
This you not remember
Was
Harold?
it Harold? Yes,
Yeah.
it was Harold.
The stand
Harold.
Harold.
Yes, the stand.
And his stand, big purple crayon.
This was like just a cartoon that
It's a children's book that's like
Stand
about a
user
kid with a
Harold.
crayon.
which was probably inspired by part 4. But anyway,
Yeah, probably 100%, definitely.
I want to know what you kind of feel, how you feel about like Joseph in relation to both Jotaro, his grandson, but also his daughter, Holly. Now that you've seen this huge 50-year time skip.
The story skipped a generation too.
Yeah.
Yes, once again, because of course, Holly, being a woman, cannot control the stand.
This part
Yeah.
sucks when it comes to women. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
the
it
worst.
really
When it
does.
comes to women, this is, I think, the lowest bar.
She's so sweet. She doesn't have a fighting spirit.
Yeah.
She's
She's too docile.
She's too
She hangs
docile.
clothes on a clothes wire. It's not great.
Even that being said, I will say I like Holly.
Yes,
Yeah, everyone likes Holly,
Everyone
yeah.
likes Holly. I love when she gets sick and then Joseph's like, "Oh, eat your apple. Oh, let me comb your hair."
That's
Yes.
really I really
So
like that.
awesome.
And then
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make some food," and Joseph's like, or no, Jotaro's like, "Get the fuck in there!"
because he sees her dormant stand.
Yes.
Which is, if you'll notice, is very similar to Joseph's.
Yes,
was
but
vinyl.
Jotaro's is so different.
It is. It is so
Yeah.
different. I would actually like to move the conversation and kind of more familial based. So huge lore drop in the first episode.
Yeah.
Jonathan's body.
Jonathan's body has been decapitated.
Stolen.
And Dio is riding that shit like Pacific Rim.
Yes. And through this, Dio has become psychically connected to all of Jonathan's living descendants.
Mm-hmm.
Huge consequences to that, which is actually the crux of our journey here, that we have to save Holly from Dio's distress signal that he's putting out.
Mm-hmm.
Also, something I want to talk about, the speculation of Dio's stand. Spoiler alert, you're not going to know what his stand does, but you did see him use a very Hermit Purple-like ability at the end of that final episode.
I do kind of know what his stand does, and I'm sorry.
You do?
Just from memes and stuff. Everybody
Right.
posts about it, and it'll be like a
Okay, so you know what his stand does.
I do.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Mostly use
I
it to throw steamrollers.
Yeah, I also know. I also knew what his stand did, like going in. I think
I
It
did
not
not.
ruin anything.
I
for him.
had no
I had-
idea, and it was cool.
I had no clue.
I
and
wish I did.
I wish
Yeah.
you didn't, because it's a really cool reveal. Although originally I thought, because I saw him use a Hermit Purple-like stand, I was like, oh, well, his ability must be to master all stands. I can tell
That'd
you
be cool.
I can tell you right now, because this won't get explained in part 3, which is going to be a trend. There's going to be some things there you have to just kind of imply. And this was confirmed by Araki, that what you saw was Jonathan's stand.
Yeah, I assumed so. That
Yes.
makes sense.
Epic.
That was not Dio's
Really?
stand. Yes. And he uses it a few times throughout part 3. People forget. It doesn't have a name other than Jonathan's stand. It has not been named, which sucks. But yes, so that's how he's going to be able to keep track of the Crusaders as they try to pursue him,
Hell yeah.
as they also keep track of him. So there's that fun dynamic.
Also, he
fully
planted
forgot
an
about
air tag on them, and
Yeah.
so that helps too. But what you forgot about
I
the?
forgot that he did the Hermit Purple thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's subtle because you kind of think it's just like some little movie magic sparkles a little
Yeah.
bit, but yeah.
Yeah, and you notice that he did it better than he
He didn't
Joseph.
break the camera.
Yes,
No.
because he's
Interesting. Because he do.
and that's
And
why.
also maybe Jonathan's stand is to do the same thing but without breaking something.
Yeah. Yes. Also, I think you saw a little bit of Haman use. Old Joseph.
Yes.
destroys the
They
flesh
pull out the brain bug, which that's a good scene.
Yes.
Jotaro deciding he'll risk his own life. And I also love, because the thing is sliding up him and into his brain, and Avatar's like, okay, it's almost at your brain, you have to stop. And Joseph's like, hey, this is my grandson. He's not going to flinch a meter. Obviously not a meter. He's not going to flinch a centimeter. And Jotaro just stays there completely cool until he gets the brain bug out, and then he tosses it aside, rips it out of him. And then Joseph hits it with an overdrive. I don't care.
I remember you being like, I hope we see Haman again. I don't know if you're being sarcastic.
I kind of am and am not. It's the thing. It's like I hate Haman, but I have such a relationship with it now that if it comes back in a way that I like, it's gonna really win me over.
It's Stockholm syndrome.
That is exactly the natural reaction. That is the you're having the natural human reaction to
yeah.
Haman's
I mean,
use.
it's like at least that wasn't all for nothing, you know?
Yeah.
pretty much. If anything, I always felt like part 3 was more of a sequel to part 1 than to part 2.
That makes sense because the bad guy from part 1 is the bad guy to part 3.
Wow.
No, they're different people.
But they've got also the good guy from part 2.
Well, it wasn't for
Yeah.
nothing.
And they've got the
Interesting.
bad guy from part 9.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
It's
Yep.
crazy.
It's insane.
crazy.
I
The
really
bug
don't
that
even
came
know.
in.
The
The
bug.
The bug that came
Plain bug.
that came to play. But yeah, something you'll notice. So that means Jonathan, Joseph, and Holly all have a very similar stand.
Yes.
So keep that in mind, families and
Okay.
stands for future reference.
I will.
Yeah.
I also
Never
really
stop
like
thinking
that
about it.
Yeah.
the bad guy here is Dio using not just the fact that Dio is crazy and a really good villain, but the best parts of Jonathan as well as the best parts of Dio. Jonathan's body and strength combined with Dio's mind and cunning. Very cool.
Epic.
Yeah.
So epic.
And he combines the power of their birthmarks too.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
absolutely. When the birthmark, you're gonna now that it's actually canon.
true. When the birthmark.
When the birthmark,
When the
baby.
birthmark
When the
hits.
birthmark hits.
Oh, baby.
Now that the birthmark is officially canon, because this is when it was actually introduced, is in part 3. You'll see it a lot more, and it'll make you happy every time you see it.
Yay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yippee.
And that's how you'll feel, because I decided that's how you'll feel.
You will be happy.
If you say so,
or
boss.
Yeah.
Josh will scream.
So, Star Platinum exists. It has a
Yeah.
name.
That's true.
It gets a name. The tarot cards. If you want to infer what the tarot cards mean for the stands, you can. We can also tell you our interpretations of
the
them.
magician, of course, implies control over one's fate. Avdol maybe it's interesting for him to have it because he currently is entrusting his fate to somebody else, seemingly, and maybe is not standing up necessarily for what he wants.
He's also a fortune teller.
He's also a fortune teller who deals in fate.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is the Hierophant, who, God, what does the fucking Hierophant do?
He sits on a chair.
It's a
Okay.
it's a
That's what I remember from the card.
And Kakyoin, most of the time we've seen him, he has been sitting thus far.
That's true.
A Hierophant is a kind of cleric, right?
I don't know.
Clergy, I mean,
I don't
is a high priest. That's what a Hierophant is.
Mhm.
I always forget how that relates to Kakyoin, but it probably is a spoiler anyway.
Well, it's also, I assume, I would assume mostly based off of the tarot meaning, right? Rather than just what the thing actually is.
And sometimes it's very literal, and sometimes it's very inherent
Okay.
to the tarot's internal meaning.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes it's like, this one has a picture of a dog.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Uh-huh. The star, genuinely, it represents inner strength, right?
And hope.
And hope.
Which is what they need on this journey.
Of course.
Jotaro is the hope of home. Yeah.
I'm realizing I was just criticizing Avdol. I have to internally work to make him my favorite because I do have the magician tattooed on my body. So I should probably make that happen.
Yes. Very true.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the Speedwagon Foundation makes a little appearance.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah, to take care of Holly while they go on their journey.
Uh-huh.
A real estate tycoon. A boy with a jazz musician father. A fortune teller from Egypt. And a fucking guy.
Yeah.
Who had
A student.
a student.
And a
Simply a
painter,
student.
seemingly.
And a painter.
And,
Yeah, what'd you think of his cool paint ability?
Oh, I gotta say, he did Jotaro dirty. He drew Jotaro like he was like he had a dirty diaper on or
It
something.
was impressionistic.
Yeah.
We'll never see that again.
I also
The
really
Kakyoin
like
paintings
that he
are my
like
favorite.
swipes Jotaro's
Yeah.
leg. He gets a little cut on it, and then Jotaro somehow goes flying into the air and falls down like 60 steps at once.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it was an emerald splash in
True.
disguise. Duh.
He just tripped him with his foot.
You'll never see
Far
that.
away.
It's important to know that whenever you meet someone whenever you meet someone and they have a flesh bud in their head, as soon as they get that flesh bud out, they're gonna be a little different.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little? 100%
they're gonna
different.
be completely different.
There will
Is
be evil
Kakyoin
in
not a
him.
painter?
No.
What? Why? What
Well,
do
to
you
my
mean?
knowledge, after you never see the paintbrush or
Because
canvas again.
because he's busy. Like, duh.
You're right.
Do you think he's gonna like carry around an easel? Like,
I would.
you would?
If I was a painter
If you
and
were a
I
painter.
had to go to Egypt to fight an old vampire,
Clayton is about to fucking cry.
I would have an
Y'all are
easel
making
on.
Clayton cry. We're fighting.
I think that it's possible for him to just have that as a hobby. I don't know why.
Yes.
Yeah. You
Well,
know? He's just
no.
a guy.
I mean, with skills like
Also,
that.
It just makes sense with his true. With his backstory, it just makes sense for him to be an art kid. That's all I'll say about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're
If
actually
they
right.
show a character doing something once, they have to do it every single
You're right.
episode, or else it's
Oh,
not,
not true.
True.
It's not
Yeah.
true.
It's not true. Is everything okay?
We're good.
Okay.
We're chilling.
Guys, Is everything okay right now?
Hey,
Are you guys
I know
alright?
we
Are we-
got into a fight right there, but are we all good?
Are we all good? Just want to make sure. Okay.
I'm pissed.
Awesome.
I'm pissed the fuck off.
Shut up.
So our 4 boys go. They get in a line. They get huddled up in a little
Yeah.
conga line to pose for the picture,
Uh-huh.
and then
And
they
that was
head
awesome.
off.
Yep.
Yes.
The presentation of that moment was great. We get a little rundown of each of them.
Yes.
That
their
same Jotaro's theme is going, and it's going hard, and it's going with like it's very like slappy and like down, they got that bass. They're smacking the fuck out of that thing. It was very stylized. There's also so far been a lot more of the stuff that I knew was in this going into it. They'll flip the camera upside down and they'll make everything inside out colors.
The palette change,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, inside out colors. I never thought of doing saying it that way, and I like that.
Yeah, nobody should.
Well, going forward, we'll get into expectations for the rest of the part later. But we need to talk about fucking One Piece.
One Piece.
One Piece time. It's all right. Never mind. Never mind.
What?
I'm out of the mood. I got the ick.
What happened?
I got the ick
From
Hayden just now.
What the heck?
All right,
okay, I was
I'll
like,
leave
look
I'll
who's
leave
talking.
the show.
No,
I'll
no,
leave
no,
the
no.
show.
What's happening?
I'm
What's
kidding.
happening?
I'm kidding.
Hayden just left.
Hayden just.
Hayden wanted an excuse to
Guys.
stand up and grab his phone.
I have notes on my phone.
Ah.
I have my notes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
One Piece is good, actually.
It's good, actually.
Whoa.
And it's good.
One
Yeah.
Piece is
It's really-
amazing and probably the best piece of media ever.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, baby.
That's what Josh meant to say. He texted me that. I was reading a text message from Josh right there.
So, guys.
I'm drinking water. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm drinking water.
I will, since there's a lot to talk about, if it works, I'll kind of steer. I'll toss up little points that we're getting to. Obviously, we finished. Oh, real quick as well, I want to say, for anybody playing along at home, last week I said we were reading just 2 volumes. I looked ahead a little bit, and I realized that I could very easily... There was a lot less to this arc than I thought. So I just had them read 1 extra chapter, which got us to chapter 100, which is a big milestone, as well as got us to the end of the Grand Line.
The end
also,
of the Grand Line.
the end,
I'm
in a
telling
way.
you, it's over. There's no more.
They
They lie. They say it's not over.
With that as well, once we're done talking about the chapters, I realize I didn't check in with y'all today, but over text I told y'all to be prepared to have your Straw Hat character rankings thus far. And I'm very excited to hear them. But we picked off this week with Luffy busting down the doors at Arlong Park, walking up to Arlong and wordlessly smacking the fuck out of that guy.
That feels like
What do we think?
billion years ago.
I know.
Right?
Because I
Yes.
the night we finished recording, I went
Me
and I read
too.
all of the rest of the stuff. Normally, I read the stuff the night before we record, so it's fresh in my brain.
Because he hates One Piece.
It's
It's been a burden for him.
it has. I just texted Josh that.
Yeah. Just reading what you told me.
But he punches the shit. That panel, I screenshotted it and texted it to Clayton, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
Because it was so awesome. I
Was
love
that
it when Luffy punched.
Was that right when he was like, "You made our navigator cry, you son of a
Yes.
bitch"?
Yeah, it was
That-
right at it was at the very start of this chunk of chapters. He's walking in on Arlong's like, "Hey, can I help you?
Yeah.
You busted down my wall." And Luffy just walks up, and we get that big panel of Luffy
Yes,
swinging
that was good.
and Arlong folding in half.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was good.
He made our navigator cry.
True.
And what are we gonna do?
punch?
We're
Punch
gonna write
him.
a really good volume, and
Yeah.
then maybe an even better one right after, because
Yes.
this took the momentum that our final chapter of the last session really kicked things up a notch with Nami entrusting Luffy. Nami finally what's the word, like deciding to put her
Asking
faith
for help.
and
yeah.
asking for help from the Straw Hats, and they go to bust up Arlong. And I think for the most part, this volume, actually everything we've read since, hasn't really lost the momentum that had. There's a few
Yeah.
parts where I wasn't as entertained, But clearly, I think this is definitely my favorite segment we've read so far.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree.
I think I figured out what it was that was making me not enjoy the longer fights, and that I think it was like it just felt like 1v1 and then an audience, you know? And this arc was like not that at all. Like there were times where there was definitely like an audience, like, but it was like there were so many plates spinning, and there was so like if this guy was fighting this guy, that was the fight, but also there was so much else to think about that was going on. So I didn't like get sick of it at all, even though it was pretty just as long of a fight.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times those check-in, like when other characters have been talking, it's been like about the fight going on.
Exactly.
But now when you've got fucking Luffy drowning and everything, our check-ins with other characters are just to be like, yeah, this is where these people are at during this fight. And they're not necessarily commenting on it, which I always love. I mean, I've said this before. It was one of the things that I had issue with in part 2. But I don't know, when a fight just becomes 16 characters talking about what's going on, it gets really boring. And these fights were not boring at fucking all.
Yes.
That was something where I think kind of what for me it was with most of the fights I've seen in One Piece thus far was that it just felt like there's a lot of between fights, there's a lot of asides where the characters are like developing, and then you get to the fights, and it's just an obstacle course. It feels like, you know, and that only happened in one portion of this for me.
Yes. Which part?
It just when it got to Luffy versus Arlong,
Uh-huh.
there was just a little stretch, maybe a chapter or two, where it just felt like a fun, but albeit not super interesting obstacle course.
Right, but then you cut it in with. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were still.
No, go ahead.
But then you cut it in with like Usopp beating that other guy.
Yes.
And like his whole deal, and that was great. That was development. And then like Nami's like, I'm done crying, motherfucker. I'm going to SeaWorld. And and then Luffy drowning, and well, no, you're saying while he was fighting.
I'm saying after when he skyrocketed out. First of all,
yes, I'm fucking back. He was like
when he traded places.
Yeah, and he translates with Zoro. The teamwork that was going on between Luffy, who you know, fucking swings Momu around by planting his feet.
Should we talk a little bit, because obviously Luffy is the last bit of this fight.
Yeah, we should really go in order here.
So the first thing that happens is, of course,
whirlwind.
Momu is summoned.
Yeah.
Arlong's like, oh yeah, well, we've got an ace up our sleeve, and brings out this monster, and it's the cow guy that they kicked around. So Luffy stamps his feet into the ground and tosses Momu into the sun. What did we think about that decision?
All of
sad.
What the fucking entire Arlong crew, basically.
A lot of them, yeah.
4 officers. I loved it. That was awesome.
That was sick. It was a great way to both showcase Luffy's just pure strength and how much of a threat he is, while also having to take him out of the fight for a little while. Because he's about to sleep with the fishes. The way he got the concrete on his feet.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also, I don't know, I like, because sometimes moments like that, right, where it's like, oh, yeah, big ace, big monster, and then the heroes, like, kill it in one shot, can, I think, sometimes feel like, oh, what that didn't mean anything. That was literally just nothing. But I think because they had made the point to show it getting its ass kicked earlier, it didn't feel like it was out of left field or anything like that. It was just like you have this, like having the audience go into it, also knowing as soon as it's like starting to be summoned, it's like that thing is fucking nothing. It was awesome. I loved it.
I think it's another of the probably 1 billion examples we have yet to see of like the whole big fish and small fish in a big pond turns into big fish in a small pond, and then it's like, but still You know what I mean? Like, oh, we got a monster from the Grand Line. And it's like, it's probably just a little wimp from the Grand Line, but like, they're like, oh my God, it's this huge guy because, you know, so it's like the relativity of every, you know, and that same with the same with the villains and stuff, how it's like, whoa, he's the craziest guy around. And he was like, well, Grand Line kicked his ass. So,
Yeah. The escalation of danger level. It's very well done in this series.
But yeah, after that, Luffy gets tossed into the bottom of the pool of Arlong Park. There's some shenanigans with that, and then we start having some fun little fights.
Yeah.
Well, before that, we see the beginning of Kobe's little story on the cover.
The cover story.
The cover story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Kobe
And what's his
and the kid of
Helmeppo. His name is Helmeppo. The guy who tried to shoot Kobe in the face earlier, and I think did shoot him in the arm.
He killed Kobe.
Yep.
You bastards. Little South Park action there. But yeah, I really like that cover story. And I realized I started reading from the same source that y'all are reading. The cover story titles for y'all are in kanji, right?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
You're just reading in Japanese again.
I guess so. I speak the language. I don't want to brag, but so y'all are aware of the name that we get that's kind of important here. The guy with the dog hat on his head.
Oh,
No.
No, what was the name?
We are introduced, of course, to Vice Admiral Garp.
I do not remember that.
I don't remember
Dog
ever
says
seeing the name.
Dog says
y'all are getting like the Kobe and Helmeppo's journey, volume.
Oh, no.
What?
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
We're just seeing like chapter whatever Luffy died. That one.
No, not that.
So that bottom part is still in
there is
yes.
kanji at the bottom.
Yes, that is in kanji.
I don't know if it's ever too important, but I would still recommend maybe cross-referencing with a source that has that translated.
Okay.
Because sometimes it is nice to be able to see. And I feel like it may have also helped lend some context to some of the stuff in the Buggy adventure. But for the most part, what you need to know that has not been communicated to you thus far is that the guy with the dog hat is Vice Admiral Garp, and then he gets sliced up by, of course, Captain Morgan, who takes Helmeppo captive.
Yeah.
And then Garp's friend cuts Kobe's guns up.
Right.
Morgan Demption.
Redemption.
Sure, yeah.
Well, I just mean like
he's being a great guy.
I think I'm hoping if he comes back that he becomes a more interesting character.
Maybe.
Helmeppo is Captain Morgan's son, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Captain Morgan held him hostage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish my dad would hold me hostage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to be held.
Okay,
right?
buddy.
But perhaps we should get back to the Arlong Park of it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We get some fights. Zoro goes into a fight with Hachi, the octopus man.
Yes. And Luffy enters a battle with mortality.
Yes.
Yep.
Luffy drowns.
Luffy dies.
Sanji enters into a fight with the wielder of fishmen karate Kurobi.
Yeah.
And Usopp gets in way over his head with whoever the kissy guy is. I don't know. I don't know that character's actual name.
Running.
Two chapters where the only information you get about Usopp is that at the end he's still running away from the Smek guy. I fucking went. My notes went crazy at that part because that was the funniest thing I had seen in this series so far.
I didn't even notice. I was like, oh, that's nice.
I was loving this battle. I was all in and I was so invested. And then I look at Usopp when after everything and he's still just it's fucking awesome. This volume really did wonders for Usopp's character for me, just in general. Yeah. Not only making him more fun, but he got a little bit of development.
Yeah,
a little bit.
He made me cry.
Yeah.
It got a cry count out of me when he was like, I did it.
It did.
I beat a fish man.
Yeah.
I was.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. It got me when he was just having the realizations and dealing with that.
He was having Just the flashbacks of everything that's happened
yes,
so far.
the flashbacks really. I
Him
love.
with the fake blood on himself, being like, and I did it. I lured him away, and now I'm good, and now I'm safe, and it all leading up to him shooting him in the back of the head with the egg.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
He finally
With
used
the
him on
egg.
again. Sorry, wrong series. Sorry, wrong series. Very cathartic. Everyone, honestly, this last segment made the ranking much more difficult. Because before this segment,
well, this is kind of our first time seeing them operate as a crew.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I mean. I was like, when are they gonna fight together and actually like,
Yes.
you know?
These 2 volumes made the ranking much harder. Even my least favorite of the 5, my least favorites were just killing it. And so I have to say Zoro and Sanji just working as a duo, just having their banter.
That part
It's
where he
the
was
best.
like, I need 30 seconds, and he's like, that's plenty, and dives into the.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
And the way that they keep trying to like be the sacrificial lamb between the two and be the one that takes more damage when both of them are getting inhumane
Oh
level.
my god!
Zoro is
Oh my.
fucking out of
my
his
God.
mind.
The panel like at the end, where towards the end of that thing, where you finally like Zoro takes off his shirt and you see just the cut across his whole chest that is
That
stapled
was epic.
together. and
Zoro
I'm like,
is going to be
fuck.
the ship of Theseus by the end of
Zoro is
Honestly,
Zoro's body.
yeah.
He's like fucking Frankenstein. He has,
Yeah.
They also do a great job of keeping track of like scars he gets throughout the
Really? Okay,
series.
cool.
And
Yeah.
that's very fun.
Fuck yeah. Well, they better keep the scars just in general on his design because he should have many by now.
Speaking of,
Yep.
yeah, wait, now that I think about it, there's like a really specific scar that like isn't there yet. Not for Zoro, but for Luffy.
Yeah,
That
I know.
I just like
yeah.
my brain
Which
just
one?
made that connection. Did you notice like he has one like on his chest, like under
Yeah, I
his,
think
like in some panels.
I'm very.
Does he already
curious.
have that, or am I
No.
going crazy?
No,
Okay.
he does not have that.
To my knowledge, I'm speculating. I actually don't know for sure, but I'm speculating that's. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about anything.
gonna get their ass kicked on
Josh.
this episode.
Josh,
Oh well, hey, I'm just saying. I'm just telling you.
I think you should stop talking.
I also,
Your
in
mouth.
general, I think a rule we can have is if we know something going forward, because JoJo's obviously, I am unfortunately spoiling a lot of things. However, I also feel like One Piece more so maybe relies on being able to communicate information to you itself.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I didn't even think about the fact that would be a spoiler. Because
Yes,
to
no,
me,
that's
just.
I have almost said it a couple times.
That's knowledge that I had way before I even wanted to read One Piece. But I am so sorry that anyone didn't know that.
But
Is the scar a spoiler, or just knowing there's a scar?
I would say any information like that as well.
Oh,
We
okay.
But it's fine. Hey, we've
That's-
all seen Luffy.
Yeah,
I think everybody at
Yeah.
the table knew that.
Yeah.
I thought it was something that you guys already clocked that I was just like late to getting to realizing.
Oh,
no, yes, that is not around yet. But what did we think about Zoro versus Hachi?
Fun.
It's cool.
Awesome.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Hachi's really funny.
Yeah, I thought I would be really annoyed by him because of
Mm-hmm.
the everything, but he was funny actually.
great.
I like the fight a lot. It's hard to remember a lot of the details and everything just because so much happened. Like during the
Zoro
whole fight.
catching the 2 swords behind him.
Yeah.
I really like the look of Zoro with the big chunky swords from
Yeah.
Jack.
Me too, man.
When did Zoro's swords break?
In the fight with Mihawk.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Okay,
In the
that's
final
what I thought.
one-
I
Really?
just couldn't remember.
Zoro does, I think, a 3,000 worlds, which is where he spins his swords in front of him and then goes shing and flies forward. And that's when he gets a big cut on him, and his 2 swords, other than his mouth sword, both break.
His mouth sword is the one that was Queena's, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So
Yeah.
he still has that one.
Yeah, he has that whole moment. This one was. Is this? This is the fight where he talks about heavier swords, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, my swords are heavier, and the
What
Goku's
do you
like,
mean
what
by
the
that?
fuck? He shatters fucking Octopus Man's swords.
So are Zoro's swords more than 650 pounds each?
No. And that's why, because I really like the line where Hachi's like, dude, my swords are so fucking heavy. They're 650 pounds. And Zoro's like, I'm done wasting words on you, motherfucker. And just He's talking about his ability to wield them. They're heavier in his hands,
right?
Than Hachi's are in his.
I do have to say. Oh, sorry. Were you about to?
No. Go ahead.
I do have to say though, I still don't know with the way that Zoro's sword fighting is and illustrated. I still don't know quite what even the onigiri is, like what it really does. It seems like he just says special move blah, and then you see flashes of swords, and because he decided he's strong, now he has won. And that is something I hope is, I don't know if that's just the way I'm reading it, but I hope that becomes more developed later on.
I mean, Zoro's fights are mostly about when he says one of those names. Those are not so much like different techniques. They're like wildly different. You'll be able to recognize what each one looks like. The onigiri, of course, being sword in his mouth, each arm basically crossed around him so that all three can kind of slash at the same time.
Okay.
There's also Tiger Trap, where both of the swords are hanging over the mouth sword. And then we saw at the end of this one, Dragon Twister, where he spins and launches this big attack upward.
Oh, that was sick.
Yeah.
That was sick as hell.
Yeah.
So all you have to do really is like read the manga, and then you'll see.
Yeah. Have you only been reading the words?
you
Have you
only
not
been
been looking at the pictures?
Oh, sorry.
Have you only been reading the words?
Sorry, my audio went out. What did y'all I didn't hear anything y'all said just now.
But then, of course, there's Sanji. I think I maybe slowed us down too much, so we won't spend too much time on these fights. But Sanji versus Kurobi.
That's fine.
Yeah.
He had pigtails.
I liked it.
Super cool how he was like, "You're a fish now, so
I'm gonna blow
you
into
have
your
gills." Yeah, like
that was a really cool moment.
yes, which I didn't realize until he bought that fish later in the town. I was like, "Oh, this guy knows all about fish. He like chops him up all day."
Yeah.
That's his job.
Also, he has a little cigarette healing factor.
He
gets blasted through a wall at the beginning of this volume, and then they're like, "Oh well, it's over for Sanji." And then after a few minutes, Sanji just gets up, dusts himself off, and is like, "Wow, that's a."
No, he's like starfishing on the floor, and then he just like
puts a cigarette in his mouth and then gets up, and then he's like, "Oh, that's 100 times man strength." Zeph's kicks must have been 1,000 times man strength because I'm used to this. And then he fucking gets back into the fray and is awesome. Just everything he does in this arc with his feet and his mind are fantastic.
Yeah, his barrage at the end when he was doing the having it and then having the little like asterisks of like this means this in French, this means this in French.
That's
yes,
right.
It was really
words.
cool.
Yes,
they were very fun. They were very fun fights. Is Zoro back? Yeah, he's
thinking
he's thinking he's back. I just wrote that down for some reason.
Those are the fights. Then we also get a moment of Arlong smacking Zoro and Sanji around till Luffy's back,
which was crazy.
That was hard.
Sets Arlong up pretty good. And then we talked about this a little bit. We get to Luffy versus Arlong. We've already talked about this a little bit, but any more thoughts on Luffy and Arlong?
Shark teeth do not grow back that fast. It's almost like this is a work of fiction that we're talking about.
Yeah,
that's all I had to say.
True. A lot of the
cool,
fishermen I've met, their teeth do grow back.
You're
that
right.
Well, I think before we get to that, we
right
have
now.
to talk about how clutch Genzo and
Nojiko.
Nojiko are diving to the bottom of the reef to resuscitate Luffy on their own. While they wait for Sanji to kick the rock open, and they succeed. They're so pivotal in this fight. The village in general, even though the village doesn't actually get to fight too much, the village spirit in this one, I think, really earns the love of the audience. Like, the others, I was just like, okay, you guys are human beings. I guess I'll root for you. With this, it was like, I love this town.
Yeah.
I love this village so much.
Yeah.
I need them to win.
Oh, speaking of which, I almost glossed over one of my favorite moments in this whole bit, which is Luffy is MIA, Nojiko and Genzo are working. Nami shows up to find that Usopp is on kind of death's door a little bit. He's fucked up. Zoro and Sanji are both basically past death's door. and Arlong is still standing. So she turns to the town and says, "I'm so sorry, everyone, but would you please die with me?" Which is an insane.
Because he offered to spare them all if she were to work for him.
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, we're sticking with you."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. But luckily, they didn't have to do that.
No.
Yep.
Because Luffy is
I
sprung.
really did love how they just stretched his neck out of the
Yes.
water. Such a creative way of dealing with that.
It's interesting that the sea takes his strength away, but he still can stretch.
Yes.
Because they talked about it takes away their willingness to use the power, right? So it's
Yes.
like they could stretch him.
Luffy is still rubber, but he could not stretch himself.
Yeah.
Whoa. Cool.
Which is an interesting way. I really like that.
Okay.
Very good. Convenient.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the town's like, fuck yeah. We were like, it was great how they cheered. It was
yeah, and then you get Nami's little bedroom, the little moment in the bedroom where Luffy, in the towards the end of the fight.
Cartography room?
Yeah, the cartography room.
Well, that's so good.
That's at the end of the fight.
It was the end of the fight, but at the beginning of the fight, Luffy slingshots out of this fucking pool,
Yes.
and it switches places with Zoro, and then is like
best. But
I
funny.
was going crazy. I was going crazy.
I was like, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like flying away.
Zoro's going
so
to
close
the
to
sun.
Zoro gets flung. He gets Captain Rex. and
With an open chest
with
wound.
an-
You can
with-
see his fucking
even Arlong is like, how the fuck are you alive? Holding him by his neck. And then Zoro is just slumped for the rest of it. He's like, all right, I did my fucking
Luffy
job.
just fed him to the seagulls,
Yeah.
basically.
There are multiple shots where it cuts to Zoro just busting a fat chill on the concrete while but not paying attention to what's going on because he's about to die.
He can't move. There's no way he can move. And he's just chilling on that little building.
He cannot even move his eyeballs, or he will have blood splurt out of him. It's so good. And then Luffy and Arlong's confrontation when Arlong's like, "What do you think's the difference between you and me? Our noses." Just every line Luffy has is kind of gold. And it's been that way for a while, but it's now that it's getting more so that way.
Yeah.
We don't spare lines with Luffy. He always kind of has a golden line.
Also, those chomps were like deep, like that was like you could feel it, the severity of them for sure. So that was like the most damage I think I've seen him take.
What did y'all think of Luffy's swordmanship?
Funny, cute,
I don't remember too much.
sad.
It kind of doesn't really happen.
Really fun.
He starts swinging swords around, and Arlong's like, "What the fuck?"
Okay, all right. If you guys held swords, what would you? Would you not just fucking?
If I'm in
like
a fight
that.
and there's two swords next to me,
Exactly.
I don't
What would
care.
you do?
I like that though. I like that. I don't like it whenever, and this doesn't happen too often, but it does happen sometimes. Wherever like a character gets a specialized weapon, and just because, they're just good at fighting anyway, so yeah, they'll know how to use the weapon, and then they do. It's kind of annoying. Like Zoro is a great fighter, but he's no swordsman. So that's just consistent, and I appreciate that. I did notice I had a lot less notes during this fight, except like reactions to like his what saw, his shark tooth saw, and just stuff like that. But overall, it was good. I did note though, I am looking forward to a more established, more utilized standard power system because there isn't really one, and that's why I think these fights tend to sometimes feel like obstacle courses, is because kind of the combat is so specific to the fight, which isn't always a bad thing, but it kind of feels like the rules are being made up on the spot for the
I like
specific
it that way.
instance.
Yeah.
I don't particularly.
I think maybe something that is kind of missing for you, because for a while in One Piece, the power system is like, for all intents and purposes, how hard can you hit each other?
Yeah.
And I think something that I enjoy a lot, that I was talking about with Mihawk a little bit, there's a very consistent range of abilities that people have. And Luffy is not, in the grand scheme of things, super strong. However, Luffy doesn't train. And I'm kind of the opinion that Luffy stays at a similar level of strength throughout the first 200 to 300 chapters. And so for these first couple fights, pretty much everything in the East Blue, Luffy has not really been challenged yet. And so he does show up, and of course Arlong, who's big and scary, Luffy beats him down, and I think that's satisfying in his own way. However, I do think that it is a little bit more compelling when there is something that Luffy maybe can't handle handily,
which I am excited to see,
and trust that you will.
Because it's either he's powerless because he's in the ocean or something, or he's stranded in the ocean, or he is kicking ass.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to see him challenge.
Yeah, it's been very fun, I think, seeing it's like, as soon as if Luffy can get close to this person, they're done.
If he's not hypnotized or stuck in a rock or thrown in the water.
Which I think is always sometimes, especially with characters that are written like Luffy, where it is like, this character is a one-track mind character who will do this thing. I think it's always like, the immediate best way to fight that is never try to challenge them with strength. So I enjoy seeing the little obstacles in the way. I also liked just to bring it back to one little moment in the Zoro fight. I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about that fight is it was established, or it felt like it was pretty established, that Zoro would have won easily if he didn't have the big gash, which I like that they're keeping these injuries and making them play into future fights.
Similarly to Sanji, as soon as he's not underwater, handily just beating the shit out of Kurobi. They were both starting in sticky situations there.
Yes. So he gets to the cartography room, and that's where this really it gets real emotional again. And Nami is like, when she notices the maps flying, the desk flying out, and then Luffy is just sticking up for his fucking crewmate. I just want her to, pretty much just making it clear, he just wants her to be fucking happy. Whereas Arlong...
Also, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, just the reason he said he went off so hard is because... Arlong alluded to using her.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Was the line you think you can use her better than me?
Yeah.
And use her.
And he breaks the fucking the tooth saw.
And it was so cool having that, having him have all that motivation, and then having the backstory of that only Nami knows. Luffy does not know any of this, but it's almost like narratively having that be the motivation for him destroying the room, even though it's something that he doesn't know. It's just he just happens to be the tool of of resolving that or whatever, just thematically without even consciously doing it, because Nami is like, oh my god, he's destroying this room that represents my captivity and everything, and he's just, and he knows he's he knows oh, you're gonna use her and keep her in this room or whatever, I will destroy the room, but just the history behind it is nice.
Now I think this is with that room, it's very interesting because even now, even in that moment, Luffy did not know Nami's past with Arlong.
Yeah.
He still doesn't know about the sacrifice and everything that.
Yeah, he was gone.
Which is one of those things where it's Luffy is kind of not a stupid character, but is written to not be the smartest character. But I think it was really important and nice to say that even though Luffy is not a smart person, he still is smart in the sense that he was in the room and, at least in my interpretation, could pick up exactly what the room was for and everything that was in it. Which is this needs to get destroyed because this is bad.
He knows what he's got to know to do what he's got to do.
Yeah, I love that. That's all I need.
True.
He brings the building down on Arlong.
Yes.
It was cool.
Fucking my favorite move, the battle axe.
Oh, yeah.
Gum battle axe.
Is Arlong established as dead? He's just incapacitated, right?
Well, sharks actually can't die, so I think they kept that.
We don't have time for this. We have to get this podcast moved.
He is not really established as anything. He is left in the rubble, and I don't think we ever hear back about that in the chapters we've read.
Gotcha.
My assumption is that if he is alive, he was really injured, and then that entire town stabbed him 1,000 times. I don't think that town would let him live.
Hope so. I hope he's dead. Although it would be cool for him to make a return, it would feel kind of cheap. I don't know. Depending on how that would be utilized, it might feel kind of cheap if he comes back, because it's like, well, did the town of Gosa get its, did they get their vindication? But yeah, past then, I mean, at that point, the fight's over. They have.
Do you mean Cocoa Village?
Cocoa Village. Gosa's the one that got turned upside down.
Yes.
But
I had another cry count at the end of the fight, or like at the very end when it was like doing the wrap up, and you get the Pinwheel backstory.
Yeah, that was
Pinwheel
my cry
backstory
count.
made me cry.
I just in general loved the little Ewok dance at the end of this of the chapter of the volume.
Nami stealing everyone's wallets on the way out.
Yes, which
there is a moment. I honestly. I think it's a slim chance, but there's a chance that was inspired by a moment in JoJo.
No, it's probably
okay.
not
Well,
inspired, but it makes us think of
It immediately reminded of a moment in JoJo, which you will get to eventually.
In which part?
Okay.
In part 4.
Okay, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
But that was fucking awesome. I do have a fucking question though, because at the end, I think it's the end of. No, you know what? I'll save it for the end. But it's just about Nami's character, which is handled so well. I'm actually very impressed with just in general her character and just the female characters so far in One Piece. I didn't expect them to be this like from the get-go, this just compelling, and I'm really happy that was taken seriously even back then, in the late 90s. So that's sick. The Genzo backstory, just everything about this just came together really well, and I was just very happy to keep reading.
What do y'all think about the tattoo?
It's great. Cool. Love it.
I did not wait. What is the one? Oh, the new one she got.
I love that a doctor
she gets the tattoo removed, and he's like, "Hey, just so you know, you're always gonna have these scars here. Sorry, that's life." And she's like, "Hey, well, I've got this new design." And he's like, "I'm a fucking doctor, man."
But I'm also a tattoo artist.
That was
because
nice.
it's the pinwheel with the tangerine on it, right?
Genzo's pinwheel as well as Belmare's tangerine. Genzo, of course, that also stands in for Nojiko with the tangerine, I think.
We didn't even talk about how they fucked up Nezumi. They fucked up the fucking Marine, that piece of shit Marine guy.
Oh, yeah.
In a panel that mirrors Luffy punching Arlong, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm so happy he got his shit rocked. Oh.
Yeah.
There's a moment where...
And now he has a
you
bounty
get
on
the
his
induction
head.
of one of the greatest things I've seen in the entire show, the entire series.
Oh.
Fucking telesnails.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is up with that?
What is going on?
That was so random. That was so fucking... So Luffy is an enemy of the state, and this information is framed with telesnails.
And it's like, okay, snail, take this picture, and the snail's like...
a living creature bound to be our cell phone forever.
So funny.
Because I'm hearing the word telesnail, I'm kind of blanking on a little bit. Erase the word telesnail from your mind real quick, as I'm going to tell you what they're actually called.
I will not erase the word telesnail.
No, this is transponder snail, of course.
Transponder.
See, that makes it sound like a real thing.
I like transponder snail a lot more.
Yes.
But either way, there's the snails, and I don't know if you can tell, but the snails take on the facial expression as well of the people that are talking through them.
That's why I knew they were having facial expressions, but I was like,
that
what's
is
so
fucking out of of the blue.
Do you think if you shot one with a gun, it would come out the other?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Are they magic? I don't know. I don't care. We need to get to fucking log time, because we don't have, how much more time do we have?
We've actually got plenty of time. The issue is fixed. I fixed it. But
oh, fuck yeah.
obviously, we should
Never
still
mind.
kind of start hurrying through a little
No,
bit.
never mind. I want to take as much
But
time
in
as
that
possible.
same deal, because of the transponder snails, we get to the introduction of a kind of One Piece staple, which is we are done with a pivotal moment. The world reacts to it. We see several ways that this happens, one of which, our boy Luffy's got a price on his head.
Yes. Amazing.
His dumb little face is like cheesing. in a $30 million or a 30 million berry
30 million berries.
30 million berry bounty, higher
Yes.
at least twice as big as the next largest bounty,
everyone
which
he's
is I think
fought.
Arlong. No,
Arlong was the most wanted man in the East Blue.
Yeah.
And his bounty is only that big because Mouse made a fucking big deal out of it, right? Or is
Luffy's?
Luffy's?
Well,
No.
he wiped through all of the biggest bounties.
Yes.
That's right,
so
that's
he's
right.
seen as kind of the most dangerous man in the East
Yeah.
Blue, but
Yep.
it's only by circumstance.
Also, this is the East Blue.
Yeah.
The tamest of the four seas.
30 million berries, you will kind of recognize as a bit of chump change right now.
That's crazy.
Also, it's everyone reacts and everyone in his hometown sees it, which is cool. I like that they were
That was
like everyone reacting,
Love that.
and
They're so proud of him.
a little someone took a little poster to a certain little guy.
I got chills just now.
Yes.
I get chills every time. I
Aiden is
when
confused.
Mihawks brought the poster to Shanks.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Shanks, and I was like, who's the fucking little guy? What the fuck?
Shanks is obviously the little guy.
the little
I
guy.
thought it was gonna take
Epic.
200 more chapters to
Me
see Shanks
too.
again at this point, because I was expecting him to come in like when we meet him and then he's gone.
Well, it was
I-
just a tease.
I was hoping. Okay, please, just like 20 more chapters, and then we see Shanks again.
Mm-hmm.
It took till chapter 90. Fucking what? 96.
Probably 95.
Yeah, 96.
Yeah.
Till chapter 96. And he looks a little. There's something dark going on.
Josh thinks he's evil.
I don't know.
Josh is thinking- I
there's
think it's
something-
just because there was shadows.
I
Yeah.
think it's been like 10 years, right, since he last saw Shanks.
Yeah.
Maybe this is me speculating, but I'm kind of hoping that Shanks, and it's fine if this doesn't happen, but I'm kind of hoping that maybe Shanks is not as good as he remembers in his child-tinted glasses. Maybe Shanks makes an encounter with Shanks makes Luffy actually question why he's becoming a pirate to begin with.
No, I wish that he's the same and he's good and everything's fine forever.
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
I love a good Shanks, and I think I'll love a bad Shanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel.
Do you
What? I feel. I'm going to make the claim. I think that Shanks is going to be part of one of the major powers of, like, at least in close relation. Maybe not necessarily one of the 7 warlords or one of the other 2 powers, but will at least be
Well, we do
very
learn
close to one of
when
them.
Mihawk rolls up, the first thing Shanks says is, "You here to challenge me again, Mihawk?"
Yeah.
Uh,
Which I think
And he's coated in shadow. He looks more epic than Mihawk in that moment. Mihawk's one of the 7 warlords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think Shanks is going to be like ends up being way more like influential than it was than he was introduced to be or whatever.
Yeah.
And Luffy's going to be like, "Whoa, you're this guy or whatever." It's like growing
And
up
he
and like finding out
always
your
was.
family friend like knows Lady Gaga or
Or
something.
is Lady
Or
Gaga.
is Lady Gaga.
You're like, yeah, you remember our neighbor that
Yeah.
you used to talk to that would be at our family barbecues? That's Lady
That's
Gaga.
Lady Gaga. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it'd be pretty cool for Luffy to be like, "Are you big timing me, Shanks?" Or for Shanks to feel that way about Luffy now that he has that bounty. But I just like that Shanks immediately is like, he's doing it. Like Shanks is almost proud of him.
It's
Of
such
course.
a great
And
moment.
he just looks so epic. I don't know
He
why, but
does.
just that panel. I'd seen that panel before.
The shadow, the scar.
So spoiler alert, I knew, well, not spoiler alert, but I knew that Shanks was coming back because I'd seen that panel before.
Oh my god! Do you think he's gonna have some like crazy thing in his arm, like to replace his
Oh,
arm?
like a robot arm? Or
Like-
like a smaller Shanks in his arm? What?
Mark that down, and we're gonna cut that out. We're gonna cut about 30 seconds before that.
I'm actually going to add an echo to it.
I think
Talk about anything else the rest of the
this.
I think it'd be cool.
This was a great. This was a great volume.
We also, with Lockdown, we get like
There's
two
so much
new
more to talk
fucking
about.
Devil fruit.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
there's
We're about to get. I was about
Devil
to
fruit.
mention the fact
Devil
that this
fruit.
was, I think one of my favorite volumes, one of my 2 favorite volumes, and then we got to Lockdown, which I think I can essentially say right now he's so far my favorite volume.
Lockdown was crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lockdown. I love Lockdown.
Lockdown's cool.
Is generally by the fandom looked upon as one of the weaker arcs, which is crazy. I think it's just because people don't actually go back and read it and realize how much crazy shit goes down in like 6 chapters.
It's
so
does.
fast.
It was so
Right? 'Cause
fun.
we're done with Lockdown.
And it sets up. It really feels like it sets up. It feels like a setup arc, but it feels like an incredible setup
It's
arc.
super cool.
It is.
And I mean, is it because people watch it? Is it just kind of botched in the anime or something?
I don't think so. Honestly, a lot of East Blue is pretty safe in the anime for the most part. Still some like pacing issues and shit. I think it's just that people want to think of moments like Help Me and stuff like that. And a lot of One Piece arcs to come, you think of it and you go, this shit was awesome. This was so good. And with this one, it's like a lot of awesome world building, a lot of great character moments. Zoro doing his little thing. Oh, I'm so excited to talk about Zoro.
Yeah.
Oh, me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too. This was a great arc for Zoro. I was needing this. I really was needing this for
Yes.
Zoro.
So they get to Logtown. Right before they go to the Grand Line, they go to the place where the pirate era began, where Gold Roger was executed.
The place of all beginnings and all endings.
Yes.
That's right. That's what it's called.
Super
where he was
cool.
born and where he died.
Yep. And
Yeah.
Luffy goes up there and he's like, "Wow, this is what it looked like." He goes onto the platform.
Walks right up to this fucking execution dock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he is the most wanted man
I
in
did
the
not
East
even
Blue,
fucking
he
think
gets on a
about that.
platform
Oh
where
my
everyone
God.
can see him.
Oh
He
my
basically
God.
puts his head into the fucking execution stocks and is like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, and he knows, by the way, he knows he's wanted because
Yeah.
before we get to Lockdown, we have a wonderful little time on the Going Merry, which I was missing.
Oh, and Nami has her tangerine trees.
Nami has
That's
her tangerine
nice.
trees.
Yeah.
Everyone is just doing their little thing. Nami has a news pelican or a news seagull come to
Yes.
visit her, which I loved that.
Uh-huh.
And she's getting on his ass about how he's charging too much. Usopp gets hot sauce in his eyes for no fucking reason.
Sanji's so horny.
Sanji's so horny.
He's in love, okay?
Yeah, I was gonna say I was like, okay, they're together now, and he's flirting. Like, I was actually like glad that was her reaction. That it's not like, oh, I'm so bothered all the time, and this sucks, but I'm gonna I'm gonna stay in this position. You know, like
It's
some anime does, where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess I'll just put up with this extreme discomfort I'm feeling all the
I
time.
also think in the early bits, there's a big difference between like pervy anime characters and what Sanji is so far, which is he's
just like you're
like a
awesome.
romantic.
He's a
Yeah.
Simpson.
Yeah,
He's so
he's
pretty.
He's a simp.
I
In
would
a
do
way, he's
anything
not-
for you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna protect these tangerines
No.
with my
Yeah.
life.
I was really
Yeah.
worried. You talked about a Sanji problem. Is this supposed to be? Hey,
Hi.
how's it going? Is this supposed to be? So someone walked in.
Sapien is in the house. Hayden Sapien. Hayden, what do you think about the newest One Piece arc?
I think that, look, the live action cast looks fantastic. And I've thought about it a lot. Clayton makes some good points. From the trailers, this is probably, like, it looks promising. It's going to be kooky. It's going to be fun.
True.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
It's going to make Josh cry,
Aw.
from what I hear.
Aw. Josh specifically.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That's Hayden Sapien, everybody.
I told Hayden that you cried on the other episode because I was so happy about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I like that my friends like this thing that I
I
like.
didn't
Yeah.
cry. I didn't
Clayton
sob.
loves it when his friends cry.
I teared
I
up.
really
I teared
love
up a
it.
bit.
Truly listening to, just catching snippets and hearing about y'all working on this podcast makes me really want to, like, it's pushing me to read more One Piece.
Haha.
We got you.
And
We
watch
got
more
you.
JoJo.
Sure.
Yeah, you should. No, no.
No, but
Hey.
actually, you should,
You
dumbass.
You should have heard us
This
today.
is me saying that. You should. I'm loving it now.
Whoa.
But
We
more
just started talking
importantly,
about the good shit, yeah.
Logtown. So Zoro has a crush, maybe? I don't think it's necessarily that simple, but Zoro has met a lady
This
that looks.
Yeah,
This
that
she looks like
his dad.
looks like Kuina.
Kuina.
If they do that thing where it's like she was wearing glasses and she was long lost Kuina the whole time, but she was wearing glasses so no one could recognize her.
I just feel
That'd
like I
be
feel like
crazy.
she was just working as a waitress
Yeah.
at a hotel bar
Oh.
She was working out.
when Zoro met her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This whole dynamic with Zoro, like, really puts him in competition for Blorbo material, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Like, for Blorbo material.
What is Blorbo material?
Hayden doesn't know what a
Like
blorbo is.
from shows.
From what?
From shows.
From shows?
Haven't you seen shows, Hayden?
I thought I had it. Mainly
A Blorbo, it's kind of like in the category of like Glop Shido, where it's like, oh, no, but it's like it's whenever a character makes you go, oh, he's my little
Blorbo.
A character that makes you aggressive with affection for them.
But also,
Yes.
like, I put him in a jar and I take him with me everywhere.
Put him in a
No,
jar?
not a
You put him in a jar?
No, not a jar.
I mean, kinda, yeah. That's how I am with Sanji. Like, I want to keep him in a little cage in my bed.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever had a Blorbo in my whole life.
You'll get there, buddy.
Yeah,
We're
No,
gonna
actually,
ruin your
excuse me.
brain.
Excuse me, Joe Para is my Blorbo. I'd keep him in a cage in my
is it
house.
Mista kind of a Blorbo for you?
It's really just like, out of all the ensemble, there's one character that you're like, that is my guy that I think about.
So your favorite?
No, not
it's
even.
different.
It's
I
different.
get it, I
It's
get
a
it.
feeling.
Fugo was a Blorbo for Mac.
Yes.
Fugo
Okay.
was like Mac's Blorbo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Fugo is a character you will meet much later on.
Okay.
Yes, in JoJo.
But
Cheese boy.
for the love of God, Zoro tosses a sword around.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I loved this scene.
That was so
all
epic.
the
Yeah.
sword
Yes.
lore, and then the way that it was so impressive. The way that there was this chemistry forming between Zoro and Toshigi is her name, right?
Yes.
While they were exchanging what they know about swords, which is this common interest they love. I dare say I'm shipping these two.
They have a good,
so.
like, potential enemies to lovers
Yeah.
situation
'Cause
going
she didn't
on.
know she
Stops being a cop.
She didn't know she was looking at Rorona or
Yes.
Zoro.
Uh-huh.
And then she does later. And also she's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Doesn't she go off
She's
at some
quirky,
point? Doesn't she
she's
start
cute.
fighting at some point in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, her and
yeah.
Zoro fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
No,
she
but
loses. But before that, there was two guys in the town square that were
Uh-huh.
like giving her a hard time,
Right.
and she
Yeah.
just like
And
kicks
she,
her
and
asses.
she gets her
I
little
love it.
asses
She
kicked off. She's so cute.
absolutely
Yeah.
demolishes them
Yeah.
with ease
Yeah.
and then trips over.
Yes.
And then
Which I
she's
think is
working
very
as a
fun.
waitress at a hotel bar. It's so good. I love that the shopkeeper was like, oh, you know your shit. Actually, I'm at your service. After he was
Yeah.
trying to like fuck around with him, he's like, this is the best sword we got. And then his wife just having the interplay of like, why do you do that? Why? He's like, can a man just bestow his dreams onto another man?
It's also it's not
Fellas, this ain't
even
gay.
it's not even the moment where Zoro where he like is like, oh, y'all know things. It's when he's like, hey, that sword will fucking kill you.
And
Yeah.
he
And
just
Zoro, with a
nonchalantly-
smile on his face,
So
tosses it in
cool.
the air to see if his luck can
Yeah.
beat the sword's
I
curse.
think, I think that is literally the only scene or page I had read or known about before starting this. Because
Uh-huh.
when I read that, I was like, I remember being shown this or seeing this.
Yeah.
This moment of, let's see which is stronger, that sword or my luck.
It
Uh-huh.
really, he just operates on a level of like, if I'm not him, if I can't be
Yeah.
him, I can't be at all.
Yeah. Genuinely,
That is it. You're
It's
so
like-
right.
it's funny, but it's so true to his character.
That is literally his deal. I fucking
He
love it.
literally would rather, in a very genuine manner, he would rather die than not be him. He's so ready to save. He's like, well, if I'm not
Yeah.
good enough for this,
Yeah.
I don't deserve an arm.
He's like, either I be the best or I don't be.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
he gets a second sword for free too, right?
And now he has three
swords
masterwork
again.
So now he has
Swords.
Wado Ichimonji, the sword that he got from Kuina, the one that he keeps in his mouth with the white sheath.
which is one of the masterworks.
21
That
one?
is one of the 21
Yeah.
great swords.
Oh.
Then there is Sande Kitetsu, also known as Kitetsu the Third, I
Kitetsu.
think is how it's referred to
Yes.
in this chapter.
Yes, there's a lineage of swords.
Yes.
The first one is what, an excellent blade or a legendary status one?
Yeah, I won't be able to answer about these for sure. I don't know where the Kitetsu is at. And then the third one, I can't recall the name of it off the top of my head, but the Katetsu is one of my favorite swords that Zoro ever has because of how he gets it.
Yeah.
The way that Chapter 97 just throws shit together, like it kind of feels like almost a Tales of Ba Sing Se a little bit, where you're just getting people's little like, oh, we're exploring this town, which by the way, this town is literally my favorite location we've been to thus far.
And then they run
Logtown.
into each other in town square, like they're just like, what?
Yeah, like in the mommy I threw up pose. But
Sanji gets the fish.
Sanji gets the fish, and then he sees a babe who is Alvida, and that's when I was like, oh, this is the best chapter. This is the best volume ever, because then we know that if Alvida's here. Where's my boy? Where is Clayton's boy?
That is
Clayton is fist pumping right now.
I wanted to refrain from being as open about how much I love Buggy, because obviously you don't know if he's just gone after they beat him. But now we know that he's going to the Grand Line, so I'll just toss it out there. I got Luffy. He's my number 1 guy. Buggy is my number 2 guy. I love Buggy so fucking much.
I get it.
We got something that maybe rocketed Buggy into like a stone's throw of some of the best characters when he turned into the chop car. Car.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah. There's so much that happens between where we're at and that.
As well, we meet a very interesting character.
Smoker?
White Chase Smoker, I think is how he's referred to.
He is awesome.
And he's got a devil fruit.
He got the vape fruit.
He got the vape fruit. The pop-up fruit. He got the toke fruit.
Yeah. And he's so scary and mean, and then a little girl runs into him and he says, sorry, sweetheart. It seems like my pants ate your ice cream.
Best line
which
ever.
is just so cute and so endearing.
Loved this guy. Immediately, as soon as that moment, I was like, okay, how big of a dick is he going to be? He's not. He's cool.
Which is interesting because first cop, that's not a dick.
Yeah.
And he also did something later that I was like, okay, maybe I like where I can see this direction where it's like somebody was like, but you can't do that. You can't go after them or whatever. And he was like, fucking tell them to tell them they can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Which I think is, if he is going to be a character that is recurring and is maybe supposed to be someone that we aren't necessarily supposed to be opposed to, maybe is an antagonist, but not necessarily like a representation of the bad part of the government, I think it's very important that he was just like, I'm not going to listen to orders if they stop me from doing what I think is right or whatever.
As I think this is the beginning of a kind of running theme with One Piece that we've seen a little bit so far, which is that the Marines and the Navy and the world government, we will see good people that work in them.
Yeah.
However, the system itself and the force at large is unaffected by those good people.
Which is
There's
great
a few
commentary.
decent apples in a fucked up system. Is essentially,
Yeah.
And one of them's the kid that is cleaning a deck.
The only time
some
that we are
guns.
able to see them use their kindness is when they are actively defying this system.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
There is, I think we skipped an important moment. Nami slaying in the park.
Oh, yeah.
with all the
That's
clothes.
adorable. I
Dress
love that.
And then being like, no, I don't want any of them.
Yeah, I like casual stuff.
Which,
actually,
you know what? He really understands for that. For
Yeah,
for
yeah,
putting
he
that,
does.
he really understands.
He fucking
Especially
does.
as like a element on top of everything we've known about Nami, and we just learned so much about her backstory and all this, like this a bit of a desire to have like a rich thing that she didn't get to have growing up, but then when she has the option to buy all these clothes, she's like, nah.
I think she knows like how superficial it is, but she still it's fun for her to indulge in it still. You know, just like
she wanted a sample.
Also, Also, important thing as we move into the craziness that's about to happen in the town square. An important thing that I realized really frames this, everything that happens, is in the Windmill Village, when they're celebrating kind of Luffy becoming the most wanted man in East Blue, the mayor is kind of pouty about it, and he's like, and it's like, and they're like, hey, it's his dream, you know, we should be happy for him. And he's like, his dream or his destiny? and I actually like that going forward.
Who said that?
The mayor of Windmill Village.
Of his hometown.
Right.
I have something so.
What?
I have something so important to tell you.
Okay.
That character is not named the mayor.
Oh,
He has a name, of course,
yes.
Okay.
and that is. Everybody paid attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, because it's not in there. But his name is Whoop Slap.
His
His
what?
name is Whoop. First name Whoop.
First name Whoop.
Last name Slap.
And he runs a town.
Yes. And he, in the global One Piece popularity poll, the first one that was ever run, where they polled across the entire world to see who the most popular character in One Piece is, in the year like 2022, I think, when everybody, there were like, there's like 700 characters to choose from. Whoop Slap was in the top 50 at least.
Oh my god.
Whoop slap.
Yeah.
That's
With
like
a name like that.
that's like
His
a
name
sloop.
was like
a sloop John.
No. Whoop Slap. I think it's surely in an SBS or something. That somebody's like, what's his name?
We
Whoop
almost started
Slap.
having two separate conversations.
It's fine.
That's like kind of like
It's like jazz.
that's kind of like Kira's coworker in part 4.
What?
You remember Kira's coworker?
No.
No. But we'll talk.
We'll
We'll
get
talk
to
about
that.
it. We'll talk about it.
We'll
Sorry,
get to
I
that.
distracted us.
No, Whoop
but
Slap,
yes,
that was very
Whoop
he
Slap,
important.
I
calls
needed to know
attention
that.
to the fact that
John.
Luffy has a bit of a destiny.
A little chosen one action going on.
Right before, just a little bit before we see that Luffy is getting executed by Buggy, and in his final moments, he does not scream out, he does not cry for despair, he just smiles at his friends and says, "Whoops, looks like I'm a goner."
Yes, and then that guy is like,
Smoker.
there's only one other guy I've seen who has laughed in the face of death, and that was
Gold
Gold
Roger.
Roger.
Yeah. Alvida comes up.
Interesting.
Alvida walks her slip ass up to fucking Luffy. Up to Luffy. And
Which, another devil fruit. This
Yeah.
The slip slip
I didn't really
fruit.
get it.
Three,
There
three devil fruits, which is crazy. We haven't had any devil fruits since Buggy.
anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, which I don't know how it works. I guess they just needed to. I don't know. Like, how did that make her look? Just like good skin means like everything changes, or
I guess so. It made her slippy and it made her smooth, and I think Oda was just like, so it made her all sexy and stuff.
yeah.
Which at least we got like an in-universe reason.
Yeah.
There are a few characters in JoJo that
I knew that wasn't going to happen, where they just draw
Yeah.
them one way and then gradually they just look completely
Yeah.
different by the end. But yeah, I knew there had to be a reason.
Yeah.
And also she has like a crush on Luffy or something.
Yeah,
which is,
what
like,
was
weird.
what was the thing with? I don't remember that in her establishing
She was
chapter.
the only
being
one
like,
that got-
I'm gonna marry
Wow.
Luffy.
She saw herself as a beautiful woman, and then she, in the sense of, obviously, this is a manga written in the 90s, and so she became a traditionally beautiful woman. And now she's like, this is the one guy that's ever turned me down. I don't love it. I don't like Alvida.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this: you don't really have to worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I do like her entrance in the sense that it means shit's about to go down because she's
Yeah.
in league with Buggy,
Yeah.
and she does have a slip ability that I do think is cool the way it is
Yeah.
utilized.
I like it.
It just means nothing can, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
everything just pops right off.
Also, a lot of comedic timing with just the way she tries to reintroduce herself to Luffy, and he's like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
then Buggy is in his little hood, and he explodes onto the scene.
Explodes onto the scene.
So fucking good,
Amazing.
and he has a bone to pick with Luffy. I love this little banter they got going on. I can't wait to see fucking more of it.
There were so many. I had to take pictures of the amount of panels that I laughed out loud alone at. It was like a lot. Like, and yeah, I obviously can't show it on the podcast because it's pictures. But very funny. Just the whole. Yeah, the banter, the humor in this.
The shit
in this
was
volume was really good.
snowballing.
Yeah?
Everything was snowballing, and then Luffy died, and
And
then One
then
Piece ended.
Luffy died.
One
The
Piece-
sword starts coming down, and for whatever reason, lightning strikes Buggy down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luffy lives only by chance, seemingly.
It's
Well,
seen.
because he's
Seemingly.
made of rubber.
How did that happen?
Well, yeah.
Yo ho ho!
Well,
He took a bite of cum gum.
well, I
Wait a
have-
minute. Is there? Are you alluding to the fact that Shanks could have fed him the fruit, like on purpose, or that he was supposed
No,
to?
I'm just alluding to the fact that Luffy was about to die, and then lightning strikes.
I
Yeah.
think there's
No,
two-
that is fucking
there's
crazy.
two ways this
Something's
goes
going
down.
on there.
Either way, there's two ways this is going down, and either way, some people are looking at this like an act of God. Literally, Sanji's like, "Do you
Yeah.
believe in a higher power?"
That was the one
that
that
was so
was a good picture.
funny. But including Smoker, who's like, "Is this guy?" The wind is literally
Yes.
is moving with him. Like as they're getting a back gust, or what's it called, a backwind, as
Tailwind.
a tailwind
Uh-huh.
as they're going towards their ship, and the rain is keeping their ship from being burned
Yeah.
by Lion Guy. Like it seems like everything's falling into place. So either fate is actually on their side, and they're interpreting that well, or there's someone with some sort of storm or luck
could be
ability
cool.
who is
Because
affecting.
Zoro was also very lucky in this with the sword.
Yes.
gotta assume it's face guy. It's the guy.
Random
with the face,
fucking
with the,
guy.
with the
Face
like half
tattoo.
tattoos.
Mike Tyson man.
oh yeah.
Yeah, because he
Shows
shows
up.
up.
And then
No,
Smoker alludes. He's like,
Oh,
"Hey,
the wind!
does he say his name?"
No, I don't know. But the wind, he did the wind. So
He
oh
did
my
do a
god, that was
wind
him.
blast.
That was him. Okay.
He did the wind
He
gust.
did the wind.
It was him.
Uh-huh.
It was him.
This guy. Who the fuck is this?
He's
guy?
got the
Who is
weather.
this guy?
Weather.
What do
fruit.
we think?
The
What do we think this motherfucker's deal is?
I don't
he might
know.
be like someone who knows Shanks, and maybe Shanks sent him to like look after Luffy.
Did we learn his name?
I don't think
No.
so.
Okay.
Because
Oh, wait, yes.
he
Did we?
Dragon.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
because he had an interact. What was his interaction with? 'Cause it was very brief. Because everything went so snappy through this. I'm everything kind of flogs together a little bit.
he was in the town square, and he came. I think him and Smoker had like a little interaction or whatever,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and then everyone was in the net, and then
That's right. He did it after
yes,
that. He went big.
and then
gust.
he like did a big wind gust, and then Smoker's like, "Why the fuck did you do that? You just made it." Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like, "Why are you helping them?"
Which also Smoker just fucking taking out the entire pirate crew was
Buggy
awesome.
and Omega
Yes.
get swiped off the table like milk.
Also,
Uh-huh.
their devil fruit
By a cat.
powers were deactivated, and that's possible to do. Which
Oh
is
yeah,
crazy.
it was the anti-devil fruit net.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It had
They probably
a
just put-
sea stone, I believe. I think they say that. Hopefully,
I don't know.
I mean, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
Nullifies their abilities.
Just
It's like what? What's
nothing.
It, just like what?
Nothing.
What's it just like?
Nothing.
But with that,
Reminds me of Koro
our
Sensei from
crew,
Assassination Classroom.
our crew escapes from Logue Town,
Yeah.
and as they head to Reverse Mountain to finally begin their journey on the Grand Line.
Actually, it's called Lockdown.
Okay.
Um,
all right.
Look,
Actually,
I looked
Did
up
you
the-
just actually
I did.
Clayton?
there's a lot. Logue Town, especially, there are 5 different consensuses on how to pronounce it. It's oftentimes translated to Rogue Town.
Yeah.
Then there's Log Town, and I say it Logue Town. A lot of the other fans say it Logue Town. I don't think there's necessarily one specific way you must say it. I'm a Logue Town guy. But they head to Reverse Mountain to begin their journey on the One Piece. They each place their legs upon a barrel and swear to pursue each of their dreams. Luffy to become the king of the pirates, Zoro to become the world's greatest swordsman, Nami to create a map of the world, Usopp to become a brave warrior of the sea, and Sanji to find the All Blue.
To cook the all dinner.
Amazing.
There was I loved that moment
So good.
immensely. However,
Uh-huh.
I was confused by one thing about it.
What about it?
Nami, is it established that Nami likes making maps? Because to my knowledge,
Yes.
she was making maps for the debt to Arlong.
She was using information from them. She wasn't seeing the light of day. She likes to go out and like see the world to make the maps up.
Is that
She
established? She
Yeah.
made
Yes.
into the backstory before anything with Arlong happened. She was making maps.
The reason she's making maps for Arlong is because Arlong noticed how amazing she is.
Is
at
it ever stated in her backstory? I do remember she was making maps already, but is it stated why she likes making maps? Or
We haven't gotten super deep into that yet.
Okay.
Perhaps we will talk about that a bit later.
But it's just like I think it wasn't talked about a lot because she didn't really have a time to have passion for it when trying to pay off this debt. You
Well,
know,
it was just
I see.
established as a childhood hobby, though,
Yeah.
so that's all you really
Yeah.
need to know.
I freaking see.
Yes.
But with that, do we want to get into our Straw Hat rankings? Who wants
we
to
do.
go first?
I'm going last. Nose goes.
All right. I'll go.
Why don't you go
I'll
first?
go start.
Clayton,
Clayton, you
You
start
go
us off.
first.
Sure. So this will be kind of just off the top of my head, and I'll ask y'all, do y'all want me to do this based off of everything I know about the characters or just based off of how it has been so far?
I think you should go based off of where you place them now, like
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
like
Okay.
your genuine opinion right now.
My genuine opinion
I think
Or
we
both.
right now.
You do both.
I'm going to just do the one. I'm going to do my genuine opinion right now. I will say,
Considering everything.
as in, yeah, considering everything that I know that
Okay.
y'all don't. I wouldn't take this too tough. This is, of all of the Straw Hats, these 5 people are all in my top 6.
Interesting.
There's one later that comes before, and all the Straw Hats that come later are still great. I still love them a lot, and they're very well written characters. It is very hard to beat any of these guys for me. There's one later that in my opinion, does it, and there's several that come close. But that being said, number 5, bottom of my list, knowing everything I know now, is this, and this is very controversial as well, Mr. Zorro. I love Zorro, but I think, I don't even want to get into it too much.
So he would be number 6.
He would
on
be
the whole list.
number 6 on the whole list.
But number 5 for our purposes.
Number 5 on the whole list, and number 4 for my purposes is gonna be Nami.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Then next, number 3 for my list, which is actually, it would be, this is where the mystery person would go in the bigger list. But then we move up. Number 3 for me is Usopp.
Ooh, unexpected.
Yeah. Then 2 would be Sanji. And then number 1, Mr. Luffy himself, my favorite character in everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Nose goes.
You want to go?
Sure, I'll go.
We don't play your little games,
Yeah,
Josh.
we just talk like adults. Anyway, listen, I am
Can they hear
table
the
flip.
Can they hear the table flying across the room?
Listen, I am not. I don't normally rank things because I'm very fickle and stuff. So don't take this with a grain of salt.
Of
Basically.
course.
But just I'm not thinking about it. I'm just saying what my brain tells me to say. No filter. I think Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, Usopp.
Wait, did you say it from the
From
top?
top to
Top.
bottom, yeah.
Say that slower.
Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, Usopp.
Okay.
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 Anything you want to toss in about why or?
I
don't have
like I like them a lot. Like that doesn't mean that the least favorite
Yeah.
is like bad at all or like yeah. Yes, Luffy being my favorite is kind of unexpected because I always like to be different.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's hard.
that's the most popular character. Whatever. I like this other random guy the best, but it's like it's kind of hard to argue.
Yeah, it's really hard to, I can't really think of pretty much any other like shonen anime or manga where the consistent number 1 favorite character, and this is also reflected in the global popularity poll, Luffy quite handily won. I can't really think of any other anime or manga that would have the main character be the favorite character.
Right, exactly.
I can think of a few.
Like what?
Oh,
Mob. No, not even. Sorry.
Well, Mob Psycho. Mob is one up, but he's definitely not the favorite.
Yeah, no, everyone loves Reagan.
Reagan. I feel like depending on the JoJo part, you could find.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The main protagonists of part 6 and part 7 typically are really well loved. Jotaro
but
is,
it seems like a landslide for this.
Yeah.
That's also, I think, a little bit different because that's not who you're going to be following through like the whole series.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, I was surprised that Sanji was second to last because I don't like. It's not for any particular reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I did think I was gonna have him be higher up, but I don't know. I don't know. Also, I haven't really thought about it that much. Like if I think about it, I will never be able to give you a decision. So, yeah.
So mine, bottom of my list, and this is just only because I feel like I haven't seen too much of him yet. It's going to be Sanji. Sanji is my number 5 right now. I like him. I like him a lot. Again, all of these, it's really hard to make this list because they're all within like one good written page, and they could shoot to my number 2.
Right. That's what
is kind of how it tends to be.
Yeah.
So you got Sanji. Above him is Zoro. I really, really like Zoro, but it's just the other 3 here. I think then above him is Nami. And I think Usopp is my number 2 with Luffy as my number 1. Just because
just scoffing.
I truly like
derivative.
The Usopp arc is just it's my favorite type of arc.
Really?
His moment with the fish guys being like, I did it. I beat one of them is just like I don't know.
Yeah.
Nami,
I was proud of him when he did that.
I was so proud.
Nami probably is more consistently in my number 2 slot, and Usopp kind of ranges a little bit more, but I really like Usopp.
And number 1
is Luffy.
The Luffster.
I'm gonna be real honest. I tolerate my number 1. I hate the bottom 4.
Okay, great.
That's where I'm at right now. No. Definitely easily bottom is Usopp. I like Usopp a lot. Mm-hmm. I every time I see him and he does something, I'm like, love it. Fucking go off. He's so funny. I just think that he's grown on me since Syrup Village a lot. That's where he's from, right?
Yes. Syrup Village.
Then number 4 has got to be, and this is really hard because the middle 3 are like by a hair. But I'm gonna put Luffy as my number 4.
Whoa! Holy fuck!
I'll be honest. He's really fun. He's so fun, and I like him considerably more than Usopp.
He's not your type. I get that.
He's great, and I just hope to get more of his just more from him a little bit. I don't need a lot from him, but every time he does something awesome, like character-wise, like he does a lot of awesome things, like, on paper, like battle-wise. But every time he does something awesome character-wise, I'm like, yes, give us nothing. Because it's like, he has these one-liners that are kind of his whole character right now. And they're really great. And he's such a guiding light for them. And I love that. But in terms of who I'm more interested in, then we got Zoro. This is just right now. This is going to change. I guarantee that this list is going to change. But then we have Zoro. Right, just barely above him is Sanji. I've loved almost everything Sanji has done. The only reason Zoro's below him is because Zoro just kind of had some time for character development for a little bit. And then Nami, easily my number 1. She's just right now the most. I feel like so far Oda has put the most into her development and more of her nuances, and I think that, and I just every time she's on screen and just says, she's always just has like such interesting choices are made with when portraying her character, even in the smallest ways. The way that she kind of like isolates herself as the outsider for most of the time thus far, and the way that she's kind of the most knowledgeable about the world in many ways just makes her so interesting. And of course, her arc in Arlong Park is just immense. So yeah, Usopp, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Nami. Again, I feel like Luffy is going to skyrocket as this goes because I think that like you said, Hayden, one good page, one good panel, and it's over. Honestly, I had him above Zoro until this last volume, and then Zoro just had just such great moments. I love these guys. I really love these guys a lot. So.
Hell yeah.
That's where I'm at. Please don't flame me in the comments section.
Get his ass.
Don't flame me on Twitter and everything.
Nation rise
his address is.
I'm eating a fry on the mic.
With that, though, this has been a very long episode, so we should probably move it on down to homework and expectations.
Yeah.
Let's start with One Piece.
Yeah. Sure thing.
2 more volumes?
One Piece, homework. 2 more volumes.
Fuck yeah. Give me 3.
Minus
4.
1
Give me
chapter,
16,
of course.
16.
Expectations for that being... we are now in the Grand Line, folks. We are starting.
Holy shit!
We are starting a saga.
Shit.
The first saga of the Grand Line. However,
What's it called?
I would say, just so we know, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
But we are in a big section of the story now. However, this first one, things are going to be goofy and silly for a while in a way that is not super consequential, but is a goddamn good time. These are not any of the arcs that people are going to be like, this is the best arc in One Piece, but it's so fun.
Fantastic.
We get
I'm
so much
excited,
fun
yeah.
Straw Hat stuff.
That's what I've been
love
waiting for. This is what I've been fucking. That's what I'm waiting for.
We're going to get through, I think in this section, we'll get through 2 small arcs, which are in themselves kind of fine. And then the third arc is, I think, really, really fun times.
I hope we're close to a new Straw Hat. I'm
Mayhaps.
antsy. I'm antsy.
I am too.
Because I have one more that we can meet that I know, and then I will be flying blind.
There is one Straw Hat that every time I see him, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to fucking meet you. Even when I was in my, man, I ain't ever fucking watching One Piece, blah, blah, blah mode, I was like, oh, but that guy looks so cool.
Give me a hint, boy, and free my soul.
Skull guy.
Okay,
Skull
yeah.
guy.
Yeah. So I hope I like him.
Mm-hmm.
Hope we meet him at some point in ever.
It's funny you say that because, and I don't think this is a spoiler,
Oh, Skull Guy.
in
Sorry.
this next bit, we're going to get something that kind of pertains to him a little bit, and y'all aren't going to have any idea what I mean by that for a couple hundred chapters.
Fuck. Okay.
Great.
Go.
But with that, that's everything for One Piece. Have fun. Keep
Yes.
your mind open.
We'll open.
I'm realizing actually the arc we're getting to is I think the most fun. This is going to be y'all are going to be in good hands here for these next 2, but they're not nothing crazy going on in One Piece
Great.
for this one. But then things are going to get fun.
Slay.
Sick.
Jojo time.
All right. So, as I said earlier, Part 3 is a very important part in the history of JoJo and in the history of manga and anime, period. You'll notice this is the one, Jotaro became the face of JoJo and is still to this day kind of the face of JoJo. And you'll kind of understand why as you go through.
Mhm.
Keep an open mind as you go forward. You are going to at least watch the next 3 episodes. If you want, if you're feeling up to it and you're kind of rolling with it, I'll say you can watch the next 3 after that if you just feel like you're hungry for more. But the next 6 episodes are all 1 battle per episode. So if you don't want to overwhelm yourself with, I completely understand. And honestly, I do not mind picking apart these next 3 fun little episodes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of important stuff established. And as we go forward, the sections that the segments that we're gonna give you are gonna go big, are gonna get bigger. But I will say, and please anyone else qualify this if you want. Really just 5 as you go
That's
forward
what
with
we've
part
said
3.
like 15
I know,
times.
but part 3 is not a complex part. I think I should really make that clear.
I mean,
Okay.
it can be deep if you want, but
Yes.
actually, it is. No, he's right. It's more retrospectively
Complex.
Yeah, complex.
As,
Yeah.
as it's informed by other parts. But this is a very important part, and I would say a lot of the pay attention to a lot of the small details that are established as you go forward in this part, because they might be really important for the rest of your life.
Sounds good.
Or at least for the rest of your
At
experience
least
with
in
JoJo.
Josh's life.
at least in my life. But yes, the next 3 episodes, you might meet someone you've met before. I know for a fact you've probably seen this section of episodes.
Yeah, I've definitely seen Past the Monkey.
Okay.
And I haven't met this guy yet.
The monkey would be within, if you watched the next 6 episodes, all of them, you would meet the orangutan again.
Oh, so the monkey's not even going to be in these next 3.
Not in these next 3, but the next 3 after that.
So we've got a fly.
Uh-huh.
We've got Shirley Polnareff.
Yes.
And then a third person that I can't quite remember.
You might remember, a hint, they were on a ship.
Not the monkey?
Not the monkey. They were on a, well?
Oh, right. Jojo falls into the water and
Yes.
fights. Okay. I
Yes.
remember I hate that one. I hated that one.
Really?
But I thought the same of a lot of stuff that I've seen already and enjoyed. So
Well, it seems like
I'll go in with an open mind.
It really feels like you've grown as a person since you first, watched JoJo, or at least as a viewer of JoJo. So I hope that you enjoy these episodes going forward. If you feel like you just need more, let me know.
Yeah,
give
I'll
you
talk
more.
with y'all. I feel like it will be, at the very least, I should try this out and make sure
Yes.
that this is the right. But I feel like talking about 6 different fights will be kind of rough.
Exactly.
So,
I can adjust a little bit to make it to where if you want to watch like one extra episode, we can change the schedule a little bit, because this is more about having fun rather than the structure of it all. But depending on how you feel about this structure will affect the schedules going forward, as for parts 4 through 6.
But with that, anything else we need to say, people? This has been a pretty long episode.
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and put a cork in this fella.
Let's put our feet in the ground, grab it by the horns, spin around, throw it into the sun.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let's take our magician red out and let's.
You can't take your magician
You can't
right
do
out in the
that.
frame,
Why can't I just say anything?
It's too
And with that,
and with that,
We love you. Good night.